I had a realization, and it should have happened a long time ago. I don't know. Maybe it kind of did. Like, I'm a solopreneur. Now, I'm not necessarily, it's not necessarily something I want it to be, because there's all this baggage, and when you start building and stuff, and you've got this idea of scale, and you're working with, at least in part working with or on technology, it's not good to be a solopreneur, but it doesn't matter what it's good to be. What matters is what you are. And I think I've realized that I'm a solopreneur. This is Margin 27, Friday, November 17th, 2023. It's 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, so, okay, let's just pick up. It's been a while. There's lots to talk about, and I've been ramping up to going live again for several days now, and I had all this stuff that I got to tell you about. I'll tell you about that in the coming days. But this thing, this is all right. I got to switch to this. I don't want you looking at me. I got to focus on my notes. It just occurred to me that's this is more than anything else in the world of starting a business, in the world of being in business, that I'm a solopreneur. Okay, so what does that mean? Oh no, I didn't do my stupid. Work so hard for the org timer. Son of a bitch. I knew do I start it now? No, it's going to be off by 2 minutes. I got to start this thing. You don't know what I'm talking about. But listen, okay, if you're paying attention to this podcast, I got to do this. Hang on a second. I got to get out of read only. And we're doing this in 7, 6, 5. You don't know what I'm talking about, but I got to do it. 2, 1, but bang. Okay, got it. All right, now back to the notes. You don't know what I'm talking about, but trust me, I'll explain it. Maybe I won't. Here are my thoughts on I had the situation. It's now my situation. This is from the middle of the year, about 6 months ago. Gotta do this again. Okay, it's off by how many minutes? I forget. I was trying to get through the backlog. It's like ruthless prioritization. I'm talking about overlapping. I've got so many things to focus on and blah, blah, blah. And ruthless prioritization, it means saying no to a lot of things. Entrepreneurs have to say no to a lot of things. Anybody who's focused has to say no to, but a solopreneur has to say no to more things. No, that's not true. We have to say no to different kinds of things. Is that true? I don't know. I have to think about that. But the overlap idea, what do I mean by overlap? Overlap is the opposite of singular focus. It's the difference between moving n-1, which is just the number of things that aren't the thing you're focused on. If you've got 10 things you could focus on, n-1 is 9, subtract 9 from the... You move n-1, which is 9, out of your focus, okay? So that you've only got the one thing left. That's just straight subtraction. Overlap, this is sort of a concept that it comes from me. I don't know if I got it somewhere. I don't think I got it anywhere. This idea of overlap, where if you've got too many things, one approach is to just get rid of 9 out of 10 of them. The other one is to factor them, to think of it mathematically or in terms of multiplication, or functions or functional decomposition, maybe. Factor the things into the parts, into their constituent parts, the things that build them up into the complicated things that they are. And then you notice that if you had 10 things, you factored them each, you're not going to have a set of 20 or 100 new things. You're going to have like a bunch of common elements. Think of prime factorization of a whole number. Okay, of a natural number. And you end up with, you might not end up with fewer things, but you end up with the roots of the things that you want to focus on. So I'm more of an overlap person than subtraction person, a factoring person than a subtraction person. If you're a solopreneur, I think in the modern era, it may be any kind of entrepreneur, but definitely solopreneur. You got to be all about software and software that you didn't assemble yourself. And I don't necessarily mean like you have to build the guts of it or build the code yourself or, compile or, fiddle with the source. It's more like finding software that already exists that you can use, that you can use for commercial purposes and either afford or not have to pay for them. And then putting the pieces together the right way. And if you didn't assemble it yourself, it doesn't work for you. It works for whoever assembled it. I'll come back to that later, maybe never. And then to be a solopreneur is to be a software architect, a builder of systems of software, if not a software engineer, a builder of software systems. I don't know if I'm being... All I know is that's what I've had to do as a solopreneur. I don't think, as entrepreneurs, so I'm going to get into this because I haven't really dug into this, but this is like the key to everything, at least from the perspective of the margin side of Retraice, the business side. This difference between entrepreneurship and solopreneurship. There we go. All right. What's an entrepreneur? I just made a list of stuff like aspiring, rich, or powerful, or both. I mean, even like a socially, enthusiastic. What does that mean? You know what I mean? The culture wars, sort of wokeism, and that's like hyper woke entrepreneur who's trying to start a business and has no interest. Eschews profit. I think you pronounce it eschews. I read that word all the time and I never hear it. Doesn't care about or is not interested in profit. Still is aspiring to become powerful. Not the kind of powerful you think Stalin or, powerful in a socially in a way that has the impact that person wants to have. That's what a non-money grubbing kind of entrepreneur aspires to be. Or you can just be a money grubbing one, or you could be a mix of both. I think, and neither, maybe not neither. I don't know. There's probably lots of shades of gray. You're constantly becoming a singular expert on one thing, which is your business, your single business. I think that's something that's become clear over time to me, that's all that entrepreneurs are. Entrepreneurs are not experts in the thing. Even if they trained in it and had expertise going into entrepreneurship, you change your expertise. First of all, expertise needs to be maintained because knowledge is a moving target. Oh, the half-life of knowledge. Oh, damn it, I didn't want to cite anything in this because I got a problem. But anyway, what's the Hamming? Art and science of art of doing science and engineering. The half-life of knowledge. It's scary to think about that, especially early in your career or early in your life, which is who he's talking to in that book. I'm not early in my life, so I'm not so scared. The half-life of knowledge. Knowledge is always moving. You're constantly, even if you start out a PhD in biochemistry or biophysics, and you start a business, you stop being a PhD in that, and you start being a PhD in, needle in the arm cures everything, Inc., whatever your business is called. I like this one. You must be delusional about the right things and not the wrong things. You have to be delusional. You have to. Jobs had the reality distortion field. Lots of people, lots of really successful people seem a bit totally delusional about certain things that are quite illusional to the rest of us. But they can't be like universally delusional. Like they can't be schizophrenic. They can't be, they have to be in touch with some of reality. It's sort of like they have to be in touch with the part of reality that they're not, that they have not set out to change, and they need to be delusional about the part of reality that they have set out to change. I like that. Okay. Should we put that in the notes? Change part, not change. I'm trying to make things easy on myself for post-production. I have to do that. I'm a solopreneur. This is what this is all about. This is going to go deep. All right. Ruthless prioritizers, all entrepreneurs, and solopreneurs are a subset of entrepreneurs, and we're all ruthless prioritizers. We already talked about that. Entrepreneurs are always succeeding or failing. So like I'm failing right now because I don't have any customers and any money come in. But if it ends up being something big in the end, or good, successful in the end, then I'm succeeding right now. I just feel, or I look from the outside like I'm failing. I'm getting a warning about my bit rate. My bit rate is failing. Lower than recommended. It says green. But the thing about the thing that I just said is that at the end of the game, it's like they succeeded or they failed, the entrepreneur. I kind of already said that. And entrepreneurs are all dependent on preparation meets opportunity, which is one pretty good definition of luck. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Oh, come on. Don't do that. That's stupid. All right. What about solopreneurs? They're system architects. I just said that. I talked about that at the top. Those are from my thoughts from June. They're more ruthless prioritizers. Yeah, because I don't think anybody most entrepreneurs don't set out to become solopreneurs. And they have to give up a lot and say no to a lot. I mean, what if we define prioritization as saying no to stuff? Ruthless prioritization is hard. I got a wife and kids. I got things that I want to do for my kids. Not my wife. No, her too. But I think we've taken a low priority in terms of like doing stuff for each other. During this period of life, like working full time or starting a business, that's her and then me, raising kids. We do nothing for each other. But we're happy. Well, I'm happy. I think she's happy. Ruthless prioritization. But I'm never going to prioritize my business over my kids. I know that might be, or my wife, although she doesn't need much. She's so grown up. Whereas the kids, ruthless, I don't know, it's all in retrospect, right? Like the entrepreneurs that we look to as models, you can usually look back on like what they did, how much time they gave to their families and stuff, and it's just like, oh man, that's crap. And you certainly don't find out, like some successful entrepreneur was also, a pretty, an active, successful athlete or author. Yeah, I hate, you know what I hate? Oh, I'm not going to mention names. I shouldn't mention names, but this guy's getting his comeuppance, so I don't have to. When rich people write books, it's the worst. It's the worst, Ray Dalio. It's the worst. Okay, nothing. I'm not going to say anymore. Ruthless prioritization. I think solopreneurs are more ruthlessly prioritizing or required to do so. We're software jacks of all trades. I just think it's all about software now. And I don't mean, implementing algorithms in Source. I think it's a lot of like choosing your modules and your components and configuring them to work together. All right. There's some shame. I think there is, because when you start out as an entrepreneur, you fancy that things are going to happen. Maybe you start out with a team, maybe you don't, but you're always thinking you're going to find a team. Like when I started out, I thought the team was my wife and me, and it was for a while. But in the end, it's like she's got to hold down the fort, man. She's got to finance this thing and support this giant experiment and everything else we're doing in life. So at the end of the day, like she's just a financial backer and an advisor on the board, and a shareholder and an advisor on the board. That's what I've got. I got shareholders and advisors and an advisors and shareholders and blah blah blah. You get the point. You start out thinking you're going to attract talent. I didn't attract any talent. Damn it! I'm ashamed. It's just me. But you shouldn't be ashamed. Fuck all those people who would judge you harshly if you could only get them to pay attention. Last but not least, the question is, if you're a solopreneur, is it a state or is it a trait? And is it by nature or nurture? Or nature or choice, not nature or nurture. I tried to make that nurture, but choice is not nurture. State or trait, are you a solopreneur right now? Am I a solopreneur right now? Is this when this thing gets going, am I gonna have employees and stuff? I'm certainly not building for that. I started out building for that. I was like, we incorporated and did lots of other things, and I'm using like, G Suite and what's it called? I don't know what it's called now. Google Docs for Business or whatever. All right, I got to stop. I don't have time to produce this thing. All right, it can be a state and it can be a trait. But if it's a trait, is it It might be something about who you are that makes you be a solopreneur, whether or not you want to be. It might be something about the way I am that makes me a solopreneur, whether or not I want to be. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Signing off.